So where we are right now is a point of no return. The darker forces that have had power over this earth, that have been possessing different leaders, and that have had a stronghold over banking and media and all of these things, it's getting harder and harder and harder for them to maintain control, because they may have power, but they only have power in darkness. They only have power when people are sleeping, and that's not really power at all. We are reaching this point of no return, and it has a lot to do with these really invisible but palpable cosmic frequencies that are returning to the planet, that are lifting it up and forcing us to go through this purging, and it's reaching this point of no return for the dark side, for corrupt politicians, for corrupt bankers, for corrupt corporations. It's reaching this point of no return where they cannot function the way that they functioned for so long. They are destined to be exposed. So, what do we do? What do you do if you're in that position where you're like, oh crap, humanity's changing, consciousness is changing, you know, lights are going on. You have to try to shut it down. You've got to try to turn it off. You've got to use vaccines, you've got to use the manufacturing of different crises, you've got to keep humanity in a trance-like, hypnagogic state of disassociated shock. If you don't, it's the end. There will be a fine-tooth comb on you and all of your practices, because when the light returns, humanity wakes up. And this is biblical, and a lot of people have prophesied this, but nobody seems to factor it in necessarily to drama. We get caught up in it. But that's why. That's why right now, because there's always a point of no return. There's always this threshold, this membrane that once you pass it, and we are in it for this year and the next, especially five, it's been really happening for a little while. We are in it now. And so what needs to happen is that other humanity can be completely regressed into an inferior form, into a more beast-like form, which is really what the mark of the beast and the beast-like system is. It means not returning to our divine nature and state as psychic beings, but instead regressing into a more animal-like form, which involves the transhumanist agenda. That's why many say the mark of the beast is a transhumanist mark or some kind of chip or whatever it is. Because once you choose transhumanism, you choose to regress as a person. You choose to regress as a human. You say, I'm not going to develop my intuition. I'm not going to regain my psychic abilities. I'm not going to regain my cosmic consciousness and develop. I am going to instead merge with a machine and lose your consciousness entirely. We will not think the same once we're hooked up to Neuralink. We will actually have a different bioenergetic field entirely, a denser bioenergetic field. That is what this is all about, and that is why I'm mentioning the people at the top, because that is their only option for humanity, to keep what they have. And it's also why these billionaires and these tech giants are so invested in censorship. Because they have to keep things under wraps, certain things under wraps, especially the deep state that wants to oppose them under wraps. They have to keep things at a certain level so they can create false flag events and trauma to the point where they can usher in their regressed state, their lesser state. We are organic, spiritual beings. We will not accept that. I will not accept that. We will build instead the society that we are entitled to from our heart. That is the reality. And may we all pray. May we all pray and begin to live that today. And hold that in our heart. hearts today so that we may bring it forth. May we see through all of this. May we see through all of this chaos to what is really happening on the top. May we come together, no matter how different in opinion we are, under a higher ethic. A higher ethic that the people that have been in power and that are in power will never honor in us, not unless we demand it within ourselves. We can do this, but we need to see what's really going on, call it out, and hold that higher space where we can do this. Because one noble man, one noble woman can take down 1,000 crooked giants. That's the truth. Because when you are aligned with your heart and with God and with your higher self, you are more powerful than you can ever imagine. And a stability rises inside you that can never be shaken, not even by the darkest person, the darkest agenda. And when many of us do it, it's beyond. And that is the gift of all of this, is that we get to remember how to rise into that. And may we do so.